Change management is often an overlooked function in digital transformation, and you really can't drive the business value and outcomes that you're targeting until you win the hearts and minds of your end users, whether that's employees and workflow changes or automations or analytics that you're providing them, or your customers and delivering new products or just improved customer experiences. So today I'm going to share insights around my white paper on change management in digital transformation. I'm going to bring in 3 experts and dear friends and their insights around change management. And then I'll leave you with ways to energize change management in your agile, DevOps, and product management functions, as well as how to really excite people around change management efforts. Hi, I'm Isaac Sacolick. I'm the author of 2 books on digital transformation, driving digital and digital trailblazer, and over 1,000 articles. I lead a company called Star CIO, and I'm really excited to share with you today's insights on change management in digital transformation. Let's get started. So let's start with one problem statement, and I didn't make this up. It's called the productivity dip. I'll leave you a link to it with more information about it. But what you can see here is every time we do a release, and if we're doing DevOps, we're probably doing a lot of releases. Every time we do a change in our programs with our end users, whether it's employees or customers, there's an immediate productivity dip. Right? There's a change in workflow, there's a change in user experience or tools, and now we're expecting people to adopt, right? That change effort is, and the magnitude of that, you can see on the y-axis there, the time it takes to drive that change is the x-axis over there, and the area is really your cost, the cost to drive change in your organization before you reach a new level of productivity or other goals that you're trying to address. Now on the left side, you're seeing what's a long and harder transition. On the right side, you're seeing a shorter and easier transition. And that's what we're really looking for in digital transformation programs, because we know we're doing this incrementally. Every single release, we're putting out some new capabilities and we're trying to drive change in our organization. So that's the hard part about digital transformation. Now, as I mentioned, I am sharing 13 different ways to ease adoption in my new white paper. They're broken down into 3 categories of responsibilities. The executive C-level responsibilities, really about creating a sense of urgency, the digital trailblazer responsibility, and really starting with setting realistic expectations, and then the agile team's responsibility around dialing up their active listening skills and participating with end users and customers and employees so that they are a participant in the change management exercises. Okay, so one problem statement, the productivity dip. I share with you 13 ways to ease adoption. You can get to it at the URL in the comments at starcio.com/change-management-in-digital-transformation. Now let's go into a second problem statement. Now, the productivity dip is one issue you're contending with in driving change in your organization. The other is there's just a lot of change management frameworks. And if I have a large organization, for example, people are coming in with different approaches, different language around change management. They all have their pluses and minuses. The one issue I really have with some of them is they were really developed before the days of agile and product management and DevOps. And so they're treating change management as a separate sort of island that you have to manage through. I think change management has to be integrated into the life cycles and the disciplines of product management, design thinking, agile, and DevOps in particular. And my programs at Star CIO do just that. But that said, and that's why I call it transformation management, by the way. That said, there are a couple of in here that are really good and worth looking into. The first is the Kubler-Ross model. If you really want to understand and empathize with your end users, your customers, your employees, this is taking you through the journey of what they're feeling as change is being thrust and thrown upon them. So this is a good framework to understand the emotions and feelings that your end users are feeling. And the second is the Korn Ferry model. They start out with vision statements. They talk about self-organizing teams. And I think that's incredibly important when I think about change management in digital transformation programs. So next up, I'm going to share some insights from 3 experts that I work with, that I dear around change management and some of their recent writing. My first expert is Jeanette Glazer. She and I worked together a good number of years ago. She's a Six Sigma black belt and a change management expert. She recently wrote a post, Why Ask Why, which is a really important starting point for any digital transformation or change management initiative. It's why I really encourage leaders, digital trailblazers, to come up with a single page vision statement. Her article, she has a really good section on consequences of biased problem solving is one of the root causes, and she talks about superficial solutions, which I think is really an important thing to consider as you're rolling out changes. If the changes are just not that good enough, it's really hard to get people to adopt them. So really think about the minimal viable experience, maybe not, maybe less so around the minimal viable product. I think is really important as we're thinking about incremental agile releases in our digital transformation initiatives. Our second one comes from Joanne Friedman. She's a PhD. She's the CEO of Connected Mind. She's really a manufacturing expert. And she talks about orchestrating success. She and I have a similar mindset. All these different programs in digital transformation, whether it's design thinking or agile or DevOps or product management, and really the change management digital trailblazing expert has to act like an orchestrating maestro. Read this post to really learn about human-centric design thinking. She's really an expert around this, and she shares some really good tips around that in this post. And then lastly, also really important is Martin Davis. Martin Davis, also a CIO, good friend of mine. He writes this post, Don't declare success too early. This is really advice for the IT leaders who think deployment is done, and really deployment is the start of the next journey around change management. He talks about the project and the vision and the release, 6 different focus areas to make sure that your change efforts are really going to conclude positively. It's actually a 2-part episode. So I strongly recommend reading all 3 of these articles as part of your efforts to learn about change management. All 3 of them, Jeanette, Joanne, and Martin, they're regular guests on my coffee hour that I host almost every week, Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn. It's an audio program. It's 1 hour. We discuss topics for digital trailblazers, those of you leading digital transformation efforts. And that URL, startcio.com/coffee/next-event, will take you to the next upcoming event that we're hosting. So next up, I'm going to be talking about how to energize your change management program, particularly around product management, agile, and DevOps. And then I'll end with how to really excite your end users. So when I think about energizing change management and exciting people, this is the picture I have of people really excited about what they're seeing, they're learning, they're collaborating. I'm going to share you a couple secrets of how to get there. Okay, first thing, as I said early, I don't treat change management as a separate set of disciplines and practices. I think it needs to be integrated into the workflow of product management, agile, DevOps, becoming data-driven, and design thinking. They all have components of change management already baked into this program. The key thing to really think about is how you're driving change from the early planning stages before you're even working on a release, during a release, and then after a release. I think it's really important to think of it that way. When you incorporate change management into every step of the process, you are now practicing what I call transformation management. And please do reach out on Star CIO if you want more information about our programs on driving digital transformation and change management or transformation management. Now, when it comes to energizing and exciting people, it's really about the practices that you're baking into these different disciplines. And I have 3 to share for you. If you're product management and you really want to get stakeholder involvement or customer or employee involvement, have regular brainstorming sessions, okay? I think it belongs on a cadence, whether it's once a month or once every 2 months. Be very inclusive about who you invite. Make sure you capture everybody's ideas around them. It's a great way to bring people from vision statement to participating very much in the program that you're trying to drive. So I think that's a product management function to create that environment where you can brainstorm openly. In agile teams, I love talking about this. I did this as CIO at Business Week. Actually, my team did it. I give them all the credit for it. They treated sprint reviews as theater. And what that basically means is they knew exactly what stories they were presenting. They knew who was presenting it. They actually practiced it once or twice before they actually brought the audience in, and they made them open environments. Anybody could join. I remember when the editors would come and sales would come to watch what IT was working on next for businessweek.com. So don't have your sprint reviews as little huddles with your product owner. Focus on really showing and telling a story and getting people involved in the development process. And then lastly, when I think about DevOps, right now I'm doing frequent releases. I want to make sure that my DevOps process doesn't end when we just push the button and it's out there, or that happens automatically. I want to make sure that we have baked in feedback mechanisms, whether that's interviewing end users, capturing data from our operational systems, doing employee or customer satisfaction interviews, or even surveys. Those are all things that you can bake into your process and are secrets to transitioning from a change management happening too late mindset to transformation management. Again, I hope you'll download the Star CIO white paper, Change Management and Digital Transformation, 13 Ways to Ease Adoption and Improve Experiences. The URL starcio.com/change-management-in-digital-transformation will get you there. Thank you for listening to this whole episode of the Driving Digital Stand-Up. I hope you will become a subscriber. This is our 80th episode. I've got 79 others really covering Agile, DevOps, product management, all the things we've been talking about, and especially around digital transformation and all the things that digital trailblazers, all of you who are leading transformation efforts in your organizations, need to start learning to drive value and drive change in your organization. Thanks again. Have a great day. See you at the next episode.